You're listening to God Stories Radio. God Stories Radio. God Stories Radio. Bringing hope and comfort through the Christian testimony.
And welcome to God Stories Radio. This is session 17. I'm Fritz.
I'm Mike.
And we just welcome you to the program. Glad you could be with us today. This is God Stories Radio, bringing hope and encouragement through the Christian testimony.
Amen to that.
Amen to that. How's your week been, Mike?
It's been a pretty good week after having to take some off, reschedule some things and being attacked through that, but again with my brothers and the prayer that they had and everything else, I had a great week. Even the very night was a great night. Myself as well.
This week has been quite the challenge. That's why I am thoroughly excited about this testimony tonight.
I think it's the reason why.
I think it's the reason why. And then when I heard Justin's message this morning about the testimony, we're doing the right thing.
We are.
We're in the right direction.
Absolutely.
That's what matters to me.
Right.
This is God Stories Radio, not Fritz Stories.
Right, and I totally believe that the attacks that we've had, and actually Kim herself, who is our guest today, has been attacked as well. We're all happy to get this going, and Satan was at us for a reason. And so I can't wait to hear this testimony.
Oh, me neither. And those of you that remember Jessica that we had, I think that was session 10. We have her roommate here tonight, Kim. Kim, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for taking the time to come. We can't wait to hear your testimony.
Thank you.
Well, we're just going to let you take it away.
Okay. Well, I'm really excited to be here. I'm really thankful to be here and share what God has done in my life. So I'm 33 years old, and I was born in the Philippines and raised in Seattle. My parents were married, and we really didn't go without. My sister and I had most of what we wanted, and so you would think that growing up in that environment that a kid could be happy, but I always felt like I had something missing. I always had this void. I didn't know God. We weren't raised in church, and my mom took us to Catholic church, but I never connected there. I didn't know that there was a God in heaven who loved me and had a plan for my life. So I turned to the world to fill this void, to try and find fulfillment and satisfaction. And when I was younger, I just liked to play a lot. My mom would get mad because I always wanted to be with my friends. And when my friends would leave, I would get really depressed, and just felt more alone. And I would eat a lot. That would satisfy and give me fulfillment temporarily. But when I got a little bit older, it became more dangerous. I started to get boy crazy really young. I started experimenting in junior high with cigarettes, drugs, and alcohol. And I started with marijuana and stuff that a lot of kids actually try, at the age of 14. And I started, having sexual relationships. And I got into a very codependent, I don't like to say the word dysfunctional, but it really was a relationship at the age of 16. And we stayed together for a few years. Through that, I got pregnant very early. And this pregnancy, when I found out I was pregnant, I was disqualified for a scholarship that I had earned because I wouldn't be able to fulfill my portion. And so I was disqualified for the scholarship, and I was really crushed. I had hopes for a bright future, and it seemed like they were all dashed to the ground, finding out that I was pregnant right out of high school. And so I still wanted to make a life for this child that I had, and I started going to school full-time and trying to work full-time to continue down that road because I did want to make a life. I did want to have a good life. And the guy that I was in the relationship with, he was using drugs and selling drugs from our apartment. And so that's why I had to work full-time to support us. And I didn't understand drugs at this point. I didn't understand addiction. I didn't understand why he would leave and go use drugs and not come home to his family, you know. I was just really naive, and I was angry with him. I was mad that I would sit at home and wait for him with his baby, and he would just run around town, and I didn't understand that. And so I got mad at him, and I ended the relationship. Looking back on it now, I wish I had known about addiction so that I could help him, but I didn't, and I suffered a lot of rejection from it, you know, like, why aren't we enough? Why don't you want to come home to us? And so through that rejection, I decided, well, I'm going to do me, you know, forget it. All I wanted was this family, and it didn't work out. So I said, forget it. I'm going to do me. And I started down a road of being very selfish. The decisions I began to make affected other people, and it didn't bother me. I didn't care, you know. I didn't have a sense of anybody else's feelings, except for still trying to fill this void that I had inside of me. With the rejection and the failed relationship, the void got stronger. I mean, anything that I tried to fill it with temporarily would cause it to get stronger. And so I said, all right, I tried to continue going full-time to school and to working while being a mom and trying to party, you know, trying to find fulfillment in drinking and partying. And, you know, that was very, very tiring. And I grew tired of it really fast. And one day we decided, we all turned 21, a bunch of my friends, and we all went to Las Vegas. I just fell in love with the lifestyle. I saw women who were cocktail waitresses, and I was like, they're making some serious money. And here I am working full time and going to school full time, trying to make a life. Why do I need to do that? I could do this, you know? So I did. I decided, okay, I'm moving to Las Vegas. And I took my daughter, ripped her from everything she had known. She was 3 years old at the time, and made a very selfish decision to move to Las Vegas. And I didn't have a job or anything lined up. I just went. As soon as I got there, I got hired on the spot at this nightclub that was pretty upscale, and there's a lot of money to be made. And, you know, I went for it, you know, that fast cash lifestyle. I was like, yeah, you know, and I sought to find fulfillment in that. And I was living down in Las Vegas. I was 22 years old. I was making a house payment on a 4-bedroom house. I had a car. I traveled. I went shopping. I was partying with celebrities down there. And I was like, you know, okay, this must be it. You know, all this glamour. I thought this was the answer. You know, this I would find fulfillment in. And it didn't. And I would come home, and I didn't even have a desire to come home, because it was like I would feel that emptiness when I was alone, you know. And so as much as I loved that little girl that I had, I didn't understand why I didn't have a desire to come home, you know, because I would feel those empty feelings, that hole in my heart. And so I stayed out late and partied all the time. My partying began to get out of hand. I started to drink myself to sleep most nights, and I just thought, this is what you do when you live in Las Vegas. You drink more. But I've learned the terminology for it now. It's self-medicating. That's what I was doing. I was drinking away that pain that I felt, that emptiness that I felt. I was trying to drink it away, and still making very, very selfish decisions that affected my daughter. And not that I didn't care. I love my daughter to pieces. I loved her with everything in me, but I didn't understand why, you know, that wasn't enough for me. I still felt that emptiness. And so there was one night, I like I said, making really selfish decisions, really bad decisions, and hanging out. I started hanging out with people that were bad news. There was this girl that I moved into my house. I knew it wasn't a good idea. I knew that it just wasn't a group of people that I should be hanging around with. But I started hanging out with her, and she introduced me to something. We were out partying one night, drunk, and out on the Las Vegas Strip. You know, I'm thinking, this is so cool and glamorous, whatever. I had tried something. She introduced me to something, and I tried it, and I didn't know what it was at the time that I tried it, but I just saw these people smoking this stuff out of a glass pipe, and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe that's the secret that I've been looking for. I thought that's what I'm looking for, you know.
Satan not only lured you to the lifestyle, he brought you to the epicenter.
Right. Yeah, and he knew when to introduce it also, because earlier, maybe 5 years before that, I would have never touched this drug, you know. It was at the time when I had suffered more rejection from failed relationships, and I was just at a very, very low point in this. Like I said, that void that I felt was so strong, and I hated this feeling. I hated it. And I saw this girl who I had moved in with me, so I saw her every day. This girl would eat donuts and milkshakes, and she had all this energy, and I'm like, how does she do that and stay skinny? I go to the gym 4 days a week. I haven't eaten a carb in 2 years, but she eats donuts all day and she's still skinny. So when I saw her smoking this pipe, I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I need, because then I don't have to go to the gym. Then I can eat donuts, you know?
Boy. Oh, boy.
Right.
That was a bunch of goods right there.
Yeah. Well, I was 24 at the time, so still very young. Well, not too young, though. Most people at 24 realize that drugs are bad and don't do them. But like you said, the enemy knows what he's doing, and that was just a prime opportunity. And I was drunk, and I tried it, and that was it. I had energy, and I actually went home and dug weeds out of my front yard at about 6:30 in the morning. And this is something that I had wanted to do. I had received a notice from the HOA that they were going to put a lien on my house because I hadn't dug these weeds out. And I was like, oh, I have the energy to do it. I'm going to go dig these weeds out at 6:30 in the morning.
That gives new meaning to crackweed, doesn't it?
Pretty much. And so I was like, okay, this is what the energy, this is what I've been looking for. And strangely enough, I didn't feel this void when I had this drug. And so, you know, I was always told I was a smart girl. You know, I got good grades. Like I said, I had a scholarship. And so I was always told I was a smart girl. So I was like, well, I'm just not going to have a drug problem. That's stupid. You know, I'm just not going to do it all the time. Like, I'm not going to be a drug addict. I'm just going to, it's going to be like coffee. I'll have it in the morning. That's it. And I did that for a while. If there's such thing as a functioning drug addict, I was really excited about it too, because now all of a sudden my bills were paid on time because I had the energy to keep track of them and clean the house. And I started actually volunteering at my daughter's school, and I thought, wow, now I can be a good mommy with this drug. I mean, I was so deceived, you know, but really. I
was going to ask you, if you didn't mind, who did you had help with your daughter? I mean, while this partying was going on, I mean, who was watching her?
I had a roommate that was living with me at the time, and she worked day shift, so my daughter would stay at home with her.
Oh, okay. But
still not a good environment, you know, like kids need to be with their parents. Their parents don't need to be out all night. It was not healthy. So just was functioning on this drug, and I would smoke it in the morning and go to sleep every night. I was like, you know, why do people have a drug problem? Just don't do it all the time. That's dumb, you know. I got fired from that job where I found security. I mean, at that job, I was making $300 to $500 a night in cash, easy, and making a good deal of money hourly too, as well as good benefits, you know. So I really found security in that job, and I got fired from that job, and it was like everything came to a screeching crash around me, and I was like, now what? And I started doing the drugs more. I had more time to do it, and it didn't matter if I went to sleep. So I started doing the drugs more, and through that, I started finding different dealers or whatever, and I met a man who was very bad news. And I started noticing that he probably wasn't a person that I should be around, but I still continued to. You know, when you get those checks in your spirit not to go with people, or, you know, that your conscience, I got that, and I still continued to hang around him. And he was pretty much feeding me drugs for free, so that probably was a big part of it. I realized that this man had some bad sexual perversions and just really not a good guy. And so that is the point where I sent my daughter to go live with her dad, because I was really scared of that situation. I thought it was, I didn't want anything to happen to my daughter. So I sent her away. I knew inside I just wasn't done doing these drugs. There was still something inside of me that wanted to do them. And so I asked her dad for help. I said, can your daughter come stay for one school year with you? I need to get myself together. He said yes, and he actually manipulated it so that